yeah, I guess, days of a misspent youth, man. I was a genuine certified menace to society, as they would say. So
There you
Johnny
go.
B, when we broke up there, we switched off, went to a little break. Your mom had just passed away. You had told us that you had got your settlement from her death in the insurance companies, and life was about to take a turn. So let us know if it was a left or a right hand turn, my man.
So I was trying to make it a good turn. I was trying to make I got this money, and 2012 I met a guy named John Ruby, and I did his treatment center called Jericho Road, um, and I did it for I was thinking I was there almost 8 months. I stayed sober, but my problem was I was always going to the meetings looking to pick up girls, which was really sick thinking to do. So I met this girl, and I ended up staying with her for like 3 years. Um, Lived with her, blah whatever, and then me and John Ruby's relationship was, we always butt heads. He was trying to help me, and I was trying to,
Were you
do
when you
things
first got involved
differently.
in recovery and in the program and working with John Ruby and Jericho? Was that not part of your I guess instructions was to like kind of stay away from relationships for like the first year and like
Yeah,
did
like
you
it
hear
was
that
very
message
frowned
and
upon.
just ignore it, or did you just like not get the message and that's just what you did anyway, or did you like purposefully ignore that part of it because you
So
just
I'm gonna tell everybody right now about Johnny B. Johnny B doesn't listen to anybody, and that's my biggest. It's been my biggest problem. And I remember my grandpa telling my aunt one time, saying, you know, uh, you can't tell John nothing. He's not. He's not. He does. John does what he wants to do, and it's true. You tell me to do something, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. And I don't do anything I don't want to do. It's just who I am and how I'm made, and that's just the way it is. And
that's just
people tell
addicts.
me,
That's just addicts and alcoholics, man. We are the most selfish people, narcissistic people on the planet, my man.
so I ended up staying sober for I don't know a year, and then I relapsed, and
Tell me about that.
the girl
Tell me
left
about
me.
that. Do you know what the point of relapse was? Like, do you remember at that time what kind of triggered it? Or was there a moment, or did it just kind of slip into it again?
Yeah, man, I was working like 3 jobs. I had all my own stuff, like because of the settlement, right? I had my own little apartment. I had the car. I had 3 jobs. I had a girl. I had everything,
You had a
and
life.
I had a life. I had a little life, in Ottawa here. And I was doing well, but I wasn't doing any recovery. I would say I was in recovery. I'd go to a meeting once a month, but like I wasn't doing shit. You know what I mean? I was, you
Yeah.
know, working out, looking good, doing all that stuff. But
Got back on the
no,
ego.
absolute,
Got back on the
absolute
ego.
zero recovery, and I ended up smoking crack again. Which this is when the story gets really real and raw. This is when my addiction really took off.
And since this is the
The
first
girl I was with,
podcast, I don't have any of the things here, but this is when I would press a button and it would go, wah, 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 wah. Oh, the TSN
yeah,
turning point.
yeah, yeah. So this is when shit gets really real and really serious. And I want everyone out there to really pay attention to what I'm going to tell you, because addiction doesn't care, man. Addiction doesn't care what you're doing, where you are, who you are, how old you are. Doesn't give a fuck. And crack cocaine brought me to my knees more than anything ever will. And I'm still fighting it today, every day. Every day I was in the shower today thinking about crack, and I'm, just thinking about my experiences with it, and I'm just like, no, like no, I rebuke you, Satan. You know what I mean? And it's fucking real, because 2015, man, 16, Johnny B ended up on the block down in Ottawa for the very first time, and I became a well-known man down there. And for several years, in and out, in and out, in and out. Um,
Is this when you were known as Johnny B, the gentleman crackhead?
the gentleman crackhead, yeah. That's because I was a nice guy down there to people.
Yeah, I remember you
I was a
telling me that,
nice,
and that was a story
I
that
was a nice guy down there to people, man. I'd give drugs out. I would, I was like a nice dude, but like you still don't want to fuck with me. because I could do some damage. I was pretty intense when I wanted to be. But anyways, I started making friends down there and whatever, and then I got involved with some fucking really bad cats, bro, and that moved a lot of drugs, and I was their like little prostitute basically, because they would give me, they trusted me with certain amounts of drugs that I would bring the money back, which I did, and I was basically smoking my crack for free, right? And I
They,
did this.
they pimped you out. They put you on the corner. You did the dirty work, and you were street level, and they were distributors.
Exactly. So what I was doing was, I did this from about 2015 till just last fall. In and out, in and out. So I would get sober for, I don't know, 6 months, then relapse, and I'll tell you a little story about this place I go to. This like transsexual prostitute that I met one time. She has this apartment, and every time I would relapse, I would just go there because I would just pay her money and she'd let me stay there and use. And then, or no, that's the first time I've ever lively spoken about this person, just because of what she is. I thought there's so much shame around that. But that's where I went to use all the time. Like that was
there was no judgment. There was no
thing.
judgment from somebody who's transsexual. They
like I didn't care because yeah. She was doing the drugs as hard as I was, and it was a place to stay if I paid a certain amount, whatever. So anyways, so I was always going there, in and out, from there to the block, there to the block, there to the block, and I started manufacturing and distributing crack cocaine in the city of Ottawa, and yeah, that was my life. Relapsing, and then in 2018, 2017, 18 something. I met my current partner in sobriety. This is one of my sober moments, and we ended up having a baby, and I have a beautiful 2-year-old girl, Haley Grace Burke, who I love very much. But even that, bro, and this is what the sad part about this is, this drug is so powerful that I can't even tell you how much I love my daughter. Like, I physically don't have the words to say. I'm not
a father myself, so I understand that. But from friends and even just my mom, they're like, when you have a child, your world shifts. It's not about.
It's weird, man. It's a game changer, but it wasn't enough to keep me away from crack. And crack cocaine, the addiction to that drug, is more powerful than the love for my own daughter. And that's like, that's very hard for me to say that.
That's what this pod's about, because people need to understand that it's a disease. And like, in your normal sober mind right now, you know how ridiculous that is. But unfortunately,
yeah,
your disease, sorry, I just had a thing pop up. Your disease does not care about anything. Anything between you and your drug has got to go. Sorry, it's not personal. It's just business, right?
He's trying to kill me, man.
Yeah, that's what it always is, man. That's its job. Alcoholism and addiction, their only job is to kill you.
So long story short, like, I went through, I don't know, 9 rehabs, in total since 2000.
And outpatient?
All inpatient, because most of the time I was coming off the block and I needed a place to stay. You know what I mean? So, and I had lots of, I also do spoken word and all that stuff. And you see in some of my music that, I had some really violent situations down there, and, stabbed and just beaten and getting into fights and all that stuff,
that's
all
that
trauma.
Life. That's the hood life.
And I was right back in the hood where I grew up, basically. Like, it wasn't far away, and I felt like because I grew up there, I owned that hood. You know what I mean?
A sense of entitlement.
Yeah. But so, anyways, things kept getting worse and worse. My daughter was born. I was able to stay sober for about a year. And then my partner, Tanya, she was struggling with her own demons. And, I don't want to get into her story too much, but she is part of my story because I do love her very much.
I'd love to have her on the pod later, man. I think that would be a nice little segue because she could tell her half of the exact same story, looking at it from another lens, and I think that'd be awesome, man. If she's down, we'll talk about it later.
I've kind of put that woman through the ringer a little bit, and not a little bit, a lot, and so we're trying to mend, trying to get things back on the mend. But yeah, I started disappearing. I would say, oh, I think one time I said I was going to get smokes, and I didn't come back for 3 weeks. One time I left my sister's house with my mother-in-law's car. And this is where it gets fucked up, man. I'm like 5 months sober. I'm driving on the highway, and I convinced myself I can do $100 worth of crack in about fucking 5 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck? And that decision right fucking there, that took me out, bro, for 3 months. Smoking crack every day, back on the block.
Because that's cocaine, Poppy.
Back on the fucking block, man. And I was homeless. I was a fucking mess. I ended up overdosing on Wellbutrin. And fucking was in the hospital with that. Then last year I came back home and got sober for another 5 months, and then was going to trucking school appointment, and the same fucking shit happened, man. I fucking convinced myself I could do some.
Because last time worked out so well.
Yeah, man, and I was gone for. And this is when the story gets really this past year has been fucked up for me, man. For real, like real talk. Like I was gone again for 2 months, and then being down on the block for all those years, in and out, in and out. I think when this accident happened to me, I was.
I feel like this is a good segue because I have a feeling you're about to start telling the story of how and why we met, which is awesome because I'm pumped to get into that. Yeah. Rock on. Let's hear it. I don't think I've heard it in its entirety. I've heard the Coles Notes version. But I want the audience to know that we go in. It's a deep dive, baby. That's it.
Yeah. So me, like, I've had some violent things happen to me. Like I said, but this tops it for sure. And November 1st, 2021, I'm in downtown Ottawa, and I'm doing drugs, selling drugs, doing drugs. I just ran out of Zara with a bunch of clothes, fucking robbing, stealing, doing what I need to do what I got to do. And I'm sitting down on a curb, and I go into my shirt to take a hit, and boom, I black out. And I wake up in a fucking ambulance, and I got 3rd-degree burns on 25% of my body, and I need help. I need real help. So the word out on the street is that I got lit up, which means
you did. Yes, you did.
When I was doing my hit, somebody I fucked or somebody I owed or somebody who just wanted to fucking plain rob me put some flammable substance on me while I was smoking my drugs in my hoodie and lit me on fire.
In a blink of an eye.
Trying to kill me.
Blink of an eye.
In a blink of an eye, and I have no idea who it is. There was no investigation, which I find
ultimately
really
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter. Like I'm not at a place where I'm gonna seek revenge. If I stayed down there, maybe I probably would, but I'm kind of trying to stay away from that life. And just like prior to that, like that year, I overdosed 5 times off fentanyl, and was found in a parking lot by somebody. So like
I've had a little something to mention there, eh? Just like, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah, Narcan. One time I was Narcan 8 times. It's like that's crazy, bro. Like I don't even know how I feel like I told Ruby this the other day that like I'm just like one of those addicts that just won't die. And it's just like
because you have a purpose. You have a purpose here. We don't know what it is.
God has the purpose for me.
Yeah, he does. Because you've done everything you can to go the hard way, bro. You've done it.
Long story short, I ended up being airlifted from Ottawa to Toronto because I needed surgery right away on my skin. And this is why I wear this stuff. They're called garments around my neck, my chest. I got to wear that for the next 2 years.
In case anyone wants to know why
And
Johnny B is wearing a scuba suit, just by the way, yeah, I guess
yeah,
we should have probably started with that, but we'll put the asterisk at the start. You know what I mean? I'll play this as a little
yeah.
intro.
But like, so I ended up in the hospital, man, for 3 months. I hate hospitals because of what happened to my mom, like what I had to go through being in there, and it was hard for me, man. But this is where I met my good friend who's interviewing me. We have a mutual friend named John Ruby. Love you, man, Ruby.
Big ups to the group. He'll be on
I'm
here.
glad that we're back. I'm glad we're back. Friends again, and I love that man very much. And so I met Drew. He ended up helping me out with a with a device so I could do meetings
Yeah, that's a
in
funny
there,
because I had just met John Ruby and he's like, hey, like our third or fourth text message between me and Ruby was like, hey, I need a favor. I'm like, that's kind of a weird thing to ask a new friend. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I got a boy down in Toronto. He got in an accident and he needs an iPad or a laptop. And I'm like, it's kind of a big favor. You know what I mean? This is like a few days before.
Sort of, yeah.
And you know what? Something inside me, and I was early in recovery at the time, and my life had hit an absolute bottom. And it was something good I could do for somebody else that I know was in the same place that I was. And if I could help somebody with no skin off my back and make their day a lot easier, especially because it was going to help you with your recovery and attending meetings, I didn't hesitate. And it was, I guess, a little selfish, to be honest, but like, I didn't know you from Adam. I had no idea who you are, what you look like, nothing. But I understood at that time how important going to meetings were, how important connecting was, and how isolated you were at the time. Because I've been in an accident, I've been in the hospital, and I know how shitty that is. And that's not fun, especially when you're dealing with addiction and recovery. And during this COVID mess, that was even worse. And that's when I did that for you. And I knew at some point I was going to be connecting with you over and over, because then we started chatting and you said you wanted to stay in Toronto to attend some rehabs and halfway houses and stuff like that. And that's that was the plan. If things didn't work out that way, but that was the plan. And on Christmas Day, I didn't have a lot. My wife and I weren't in a good place at the time, and I was living at my mom's house, and we had just had Christmas dinner. And I said, you know what? Everyone deserves a Christmas dinner. Even my new burnt up lit friend Johnny B in a fucking hospital deserves a Christmas dinner. So I drove on Christmas Day up to the hospital because if that was me in the hospital and someone did that for me, I would appreciate it. And I think that like a small gesture like that just like shows somebody, to me at least, that I give a fuck, because I did. And
you did.
in a place
you
where
did.
my alcoholism had isolated me and brought me into depression and loneliness and sadness. It was something that I could do to make myself feel better and also feel connected to somebody who knows and gets it. And that's what I did, and that's where this kind of started. And we've
Love you, dude.
We have our own story. I love you too, my man. Of course, this is the pilot session of the Dope Boys, the HopeBoys pod. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we do, man. And this is how the Dope Boys turn into the HopeBoys. You know what I mean? This is what happens, bro. Like, this is it. And I think that's what I wanted, and my ultimate goal for the podcast was to just try to get people to understand addiction and mental health and recovery in a different light that's real, that isn't all rainbows and daisies, and people don't join AA or join any sort of 12-step program or go to rehab the first time and it just works. People need to understand that like this is a battle that we fight every day, all the time. And like
11 years I've been at this, man.
Yeah, bro. And it's tough. It's a tough battle. And our story gets a little bit darker and a little bit deeper, but like it's the reality. And like there's a lot of truths that were like told and not told, and like there was love that was shared and not shared, and like care that was there and didn't want it, didn't it was a lot going on, especially for me and for you. And like you're in a city you're not from, and like man, it's wild. It's wild. And like I obviously in the short time that you and I had connected, I had made that connection with you to a point where like you scared me, bro. You know what I mean? Like that, I got nervous that like for your well-being. And like, I'm learning in recovery that like you can't put that on somebody else who's also in recovery, just in case that like, if they relapse or something bad happens to them, that you can't then go out and make that as an excuse or like feel so bad that that's, your tipping point to relapse, as that's dangerous. But at the same time, like that came very apparent to me very early in recovery. And I'm thankful for that, because now I understand to not do that. But also that's all I did, because like I didn't know what to say. I'd never been a part of this before. So I just wanted to tell you that, like, I love you. That's what I said to you for a fact. I don't know whether you remember it or not, but I just said I love you no matter what.
Yeah,
I don't
dude,
care what you're doing.
yeah.
I don't care what you're doing. Hey, whatever buddy, you finished the drugs in front of me. I didn't care, because that's not what it mattered. What mattered is that you came out of that fucking room. And I took you for a coffee. I showed you that no matter what you were going to do, I loved you just the same. And I know no one needs to tell you how shitty you feel and how bad you feel and how much of a scumbag you are more than you. You know all of those things. So I don't need to tell you that. But what you did need to know was that I wasn't mad at you. I didn't care. It's all good. You know exactly what to do. I love you no matter what. Let's do this. And you know what to do. I don't need to, you want me to tell you what to do, but you knew exactly what to do. And that's
for sure, man. For sure. It was, and I want to touch on that a little bit, because, you know, that was, hopefully that's my last time using drugs. That's my hope. And I use drugs, and this is how powerful, again, crack cocaine is, you know, I'm going to say this. My name's Johnny. I'm an alcoholic, and I'm completely powerless over cocaine. And I still used after being lit on fire.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that this was it. I thought it was, when I was in the hospital, I'm like, man, if me being lit on fire is what actually got me clean, I'll fucking embrace that. I'll fucking, you know, like, thank you, whoever lit me on fire. Maybe that's what I needed, you know. And I was doing everything, man. That was the best attempt at recovery in the 4 months that I stayed sober there. Yeah, I was locked up in a hospital. That probably helps too. But
101 days. I remember when I broke you out of the hospital, man. 101 days.
Yeah, 101 days in the hospital. I was still doing all the stuff. And then, but I ended up in a bad area in Toronto that I didn't really know. I was isolated in a room. I ended up getting a big infection in my face. You know, there's lots of, my injuries are very serious, and there's lots to do maintenance wise. And, you know, I got to do a certain amount of stretching, showering, lotioning, like all this shit every day that I'm not fucking used to, bro. Like, I'm a guy.
Real, yeah.
I'm a guy's guy. Like, I fucking put on a hat and won't leave. You know what I mean? But I got to do all this shit. It takes me like fucking 45 minutes to an hour in the bathroom 3 times a day, that I got to take care of my shit properly. And during this relapse, I didn't do any of it. And it really fucked me up. And so, anyways, I ended up using coke in my room for 5 days. You know, met a dealer at a Tim Hortons. You know, not even wanting to use. I had no intention to use. He told me he had coke right off the boat, and did he ever?
Yeah.
And so he let me. I convinced myself right there that I could just try 1 or 2 bumps, and, you know,
said nobody ever. Said no coke, you know, ever. I'll just have one.
$1,700 later, you know, emptied my whole savings, my whole bank account, fucking $1,700. Well, I was proud of myself, though. I didn't sell anything. I didn't sell any of my, chain. I didn't sell my.
Not yet. That's because I drove the train station at home. Otherwise, you would have been about that life.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and thank God I was praying one night, and to God, and I said, man, I can't do this anymore. Take this from me. And all I heard was, call Tanya, call Tanya, call Tanya. So I called Tanya, and I said, Tanya, can I come home? I begged her to come home. I said, I need to come home. Like, I can't go. I can't do this anymore. I want to come home. I want to do this. And she took a chance. She let me come home, man. God bless her. I love her. And here I am. I'm back in Ottawa, back at my house. You know, I went from being in the hospital
back in the jug.
Yeah, and I'm doing what I got to do. I went from being in the hospital for 3 months to being on my own for a month to now a full-time family man. So it's kind of a lot of like different hats to wear, but you know, my daughter loves.
That's the hope. That's what this podcast for, is to tell you how bad it started, how bad it can get, how good it gets, and then how bad it gets after that, and then good it gets, and how bad it gets after that. But there's always hope. That's the deal, man. You got to shoot for the stars. You have to, because otherwise you can't give up.
God makes crooked paths straight, and I think that, you know, I think God has me right where He wants me. I think He wanted me to come back home. You know, Tanya being the strong woman that she is, like, you know, we have a 2,400 square foot house, and like it's a nice big townhouse, and it's a hard house to like keep up on your own. You know what I mean? And just like practical help with like the vehicles, you know, and just like with the kids, and working a 9 to 5, the
kids, and the paying taxes,
and, you know, like
cell phone bill, car
insurance, all that shit,
life,
you know,
adulting.
And I'm on a limited income right now because of my injuries. Like I won't be going back to any kind of work for probably another 6 months. So it gives me an opportunity to be a dad, work on my recovery. There are rules for me to be in the house. Like I'm basically on
That's
a
good.
house
That's
arrest
structure. That's good for
like
alcohol.
I can't take any of I can't take the vehicles out unless I take one of the kids with me. Um, right? Because Teddy knows I won't bring the kids to go use drugs.
Let's hope
So
not.
that's well, no, I've never used around my daughter.
Good. Good for you.
Never.
Good for
Yeah, so that's one thing I'm kind of proud of. But I know that's kind of silly to say, but
no,
I'm a
it
hardcore
isn't at
drug
all.
addict, and the
It
fact that I
isn't.
haven't done that around her
It's good. It means
is pretty
you're
cool.
proud to be a dad. It means you're happy to be a dad, and I respect that.
Yeah, and I'm glad to be home, man. It's been almost a week. It'll be a week tomorrow, I guess. And my good friend Drew drove me to the train station. I was on the train on my way home.
In a meeting, you
four and
went
a
to
half
do a
hours. I
recovery
did a
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah, man.
I listened to a speaker, and this speaker rocked me. His name's Chris Framer, and he rocked me, bro. I was crying in the train, and this
Someone
girl
was
was sitting
chopping
beside
onions.
me. She's probably like, "What the heck's wrong with this guy?" Like, I'm detoxing and like crying on the way home, and this is one thing I need to say. I called detox in Ottawa on the Wednesday, and I left on a Saturday, and they didn't call me back until a week later and
Dangerous.
said, "Hey, we have a bed for you." And I'm like, "Excuse me, you have a bed for me?" Well, I'm already detoxed now. I'm like, I needed you guys last week when I was dying.
Yeah.
And didn't have anything. I'm like, this is one thing I want to change when I get a little more organized, sober, and one of the things I want to change is making more availability for people to get detoxed.
That's a fantastic segue there, Johnny B, because I wanted to, I don't know if I've told you yet, but one of my friends and colleagues from work, just a serendipitous, God bringing us together kind of moment, asked me to be on a board of directors for opening up and helping subsidize addiction treatment and recovery centers and detox centers for people who can't afford it, and opening up new spots. So I'm jumping on board, literally on the board of directors with that. And because I think that's important, like you said, man, because, that's point and proof what you said, that, waiting a week, it's that could kill somebody.
That's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. Yeah.
And with Ottawa, like I know Toronto's 6 million GTA, and then the Ottawa capital region's like 1.2 million, and we have one detox and one emergency detox in the hospital where you can stay for 12 hours. That's it. So I just think that, I told the lady on the phone, I'm like, listen, I'm like I could have been dead. Like people are dying out there every day, and I'm just like, this just isn't okay. And I'm gonna make sure that there's a voice for these people, because there's just not enough resources out there, man. And it's hard. It's hard to do it on your own, man. I was able to do it on my own, thank God, this time. And I stopped using, so I 10 days clean today.
Awesome. Good for you. Congrats. I know what that's like, man. Yo, day counting again, dude. That's how we do it. This isn't easy.
Yeah, like day 8 was when I started feeling better.
Yeah.
Like Tanya was really good when I first got home. She just kind of let me do my thing. Like, be slow motion, be sleep, fucking whatever. Because on Saturday, I said if detox calls me on the Saturday up to the Monday, I'll go, because I'll need it still. Yeah. But they didn't call me till the Wednesday, and I was already feeling better, and like each day gets getting better and better, man. I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to be sober and clean, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I stay that way.
Awesome. I love it, Johnny. That's great, dude. That's great. Well, I appreciate you coming out today and being the first guy on the pod. That's going to be awesome, man. We'll link up. We'll do this again as soon as I have this all edited and everything. I'll send it over to you. I'm super excited about everything, man, and I'm glad you're on board with the HopeBoys, because I want to get some of your spoken word sorted out for like some stuff, some cut up stuff for this, and some B-roll stuff. But I appreciate your time. Let's link up soon, and enjoy your afternoon, my guy.
All right, peace, bro.
Ciao.
Love you, man. Respect.
Love you too. Ciao, ciao.